I wasn't a good mom for him. I just wasn't, because I was so miserable because I was overweight. My name is Krystle. I'm 32. I have 2 beautiful children. I have lost altogether 217 pounds as of yesterday. Weighed myself. I am not a fan of the scale, so I tend to not get on it as much as possible. But 217 pounds altogether from the time I walked into Beyond Limits strength and conditioning to yesterday. And it's probably one of the biggest accomplishments that I have achieved so far. I was almost 400 pounds when I started at my CrossFit gym in Cove. I was unhealthy, I was miserable all the time. There was not a day that I woke up happy, if that makes sense. And at that time, I only had 1 child. I wasn't a good mom for him. I just wasn't, because I was so miserable, because I was overweight, I was unhappy. I couldn't do the things I wanted. I couldn't do the things he wanted to do. It hurt knowing that my whole life had led up to a point to where I had a child and I didn't want to continue the cycle of putting food in front of his face and turning on a TV and just letting him do whatever he wanted to do, like what was done to me, because I didn't want him to get to where I was at. And that's kind of when it clicked in my head that I had to change, and I had to be a better person and a better mom and a healthier version of all 4 of those, you know? That's kind of what led me to going back, because after that first workout, I'm not gonna lie, I watched the clock and I could not wait for those 5 minutes to be over with, because I was ready to run. And then I found myself continuing to run back, and then I kept coming back. My son absolutely loves what I do. He asks me about it all the time. My daughter, she is the spitting image of me now with wanting to get into it. She's 6 though, so she's got a way to go, but she's got a great head on her shoulders, and she loves the idea of fitness and just doing something at home. So I got into strength training about 2.5 years ago. My son's kindergarten teacher went to a CrossFit gym in Cove that I had previously been at. At that time, I didn't think it was for me until she went, and she made it seem so amazing, and everything just worked out great. And I walked in, but I was so overweight, I was terrified. So I went, I worked out a little bit, and I fell in love with the CrossFit world. Walking into a gym that had every body type, every race, every ethnic background, everybody from every path of life was in this gym. It was a family, and they were so happy for each other. When anybody achieved something, they were happy. When anybody had a failure, there to support them and pick them back up, and that's what I knew I needed. When I walked in, I never got that look. I never got that sense of, oh, they're watching me. I had a coach that said, hey, if you can't do this instead. And so I didn't feel, okay, well, I can't do it, so I'm not gonna do anything. There was always another option for what my body was capable of doing at the time. Even if it was lifting an empty bar or lifting dumbbells, kettlebells, a slam ball, there was always something to do, and it kept pushing me to say, hey, well, this time I couldn't lift a 45-pound bar, I lift a 25-pound wall ball. But now I have a goal, because now I want to lift a 45-pound bar, and I'm going to keep working towards it. And everybody was so supportive of that. Nobody had the same problem, but everybody had the same mindset of wanting to be better than they were yesterday. And that's what got me to stick. I worked with a girl at HEB, Tracy, and I met her and her husband. They came into the gym one day, and they introduced me to not so much just strongman, but a different view of being strong. I knew I was strong, but I was so comfortable with being in the back of the class and lifting and just working on myself that I didn't want anybody staring at me. They introduced me to another gym. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the coach there. I fell in love with his outlook on strongman. It was something he's passionate about. I saw pictures and I watched videos of him lifting and his competing, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew that that's something that I could walk in and say, I'm no different than anybody here. We're all here for one reason, and that's to lift heavy stuff and prove to ourselves that we did it. Strongman lifting now, I had my first competition about a month ago, and that went really well. I placed first in all 5 events and then first overall. That was a sense of accomplishment, being that it was my first competition ever. I've never done anything like that in my life, and to be able to go out there and leave it all on the floor and come back and say, you know what, I worked hard for that. This is what you can do when you put your mind to something. My daughter still has not given me my trophy back yet. It is still in her room on her dresser, where it will stay probably forever. But that's something that my kids, they're so proud of it. And it's like, hey, that is my mom. That's why I started all this, for my kids to look at me and say, you know what, I want to be like her when I grow up. So my first competition, we did a keg and sandbag carry. So for my class, it was a 130-pound keg and a 100-pound sandbag. You picked it up, you ran it 50 feet, you came back, you threw it over a bar. We had a H-stone hold, which looks like a coffin, and it was 180 pounds, and you kind of have to manage to get it up here to let it rest on your chest and hold it as long as you can. That's probably my least favorite. I can tell you that right now. We had the keg press in my first one, and we had the axle bar deadlift, where it's like a regular bar, just heck of a lot thicker, and you definitely learn to work on your grip. And now that I have my second competition coming up next month, it's even more, how can I push myself to be better? Now that I'm in a whole different class and a whole different weight group with all new women, how can I push myself to be better and not get complacent and achieve to be the best of the best? The second competition coming up, it's in a beautiful place. It's my second competition ever. It's, 4 new events that I've never done. It's pushing me to try something new, and it's pushing me to say, hey, nationals from this competition is 2 weeks away. Where am I at with that? How am I getting ready? Where am I going? And what am I gonna do? My first competition, I qualified for 2021 nationals. That is in Minnesota. Keg press was 130 pounds. My max H-stone hold is 180. Deadlift is 350. My sumo deadlift is 325. Back squat's 315. My max stone was 300 pounds. So my favorite lifts, CrossFit wise, I would have to say deadlift. I think that's everybody's go-to sometimes. A power clean and a back squat. Strongman. I love the Atlas stone balls. They are a pain in the butt, and they are so odd shaped, but when you get it off the floor and into your lap and you can manage to get those 200 pounds on your chest and run with it, there's no better feeling. It makes you so happy, because sometimes when you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders and you actually put heavy stuff on your shoulders, I feel great after. It is something that I wish everybody could experience at least once in their lifetime. The keg press, I love that. It is such an odd shaped object, and trying to lap it and then throw it up and kind of just showing what you're made of. That lift is where it's at in that competition, I believe. When I got into Strongman, I didn't really have a whole perspective of the sport and what it was about, and I never really did my research into it. I signed up for the competition, I learned, I talked to the coach that Gabe and his wife introduced me to, and he worked on me with those movements. And I started watching like the pro athletes that do these strongman competition that are well known, and I think they're great. But then you go to the local gyms of women and men training for the same thing you're training for, that have been doing it for 10, 15 years. And that's kind of who I want to be with. Like, there's this woman that I met actually last month. She's probably one of the most phenomenal women I've ever met. She's got a heart of gold. She's strong, she's empowered, she's confident in everything that she does. And that's who I look up to. That's what I want to do. That's who I want to be. She has a 400-pound bench press. I'm nowhere close to that. I can tell you that right now. I'm nowhere close to that. But that is everything that I want to do. And to watch somebody who has, that Monday through Friday job, that works and has a family and has all these responsibilities and still makes time to better themselves, that's kind of where I've followed. I want to be the woman that I needed when I was a little kid. I want to be that role model, whether it's for my own kids, whether it's for another woman my age or older than me. That's my why reason. I want people to know that no matter what your life looks like, what your structure looks like, what your background looks like, no matter what you do, you can achieve it and you can do it. There's so much that's willing to knock you down in life, but if you don't have that one thing that makes you feel comfortable in your own skin, then life isn't worth it sometimes. If you don't have that one thing that makes you say, as soon as I get done with work, I get to go to the gym, or as soon as I get done, me and the kids are going for a run. My why went from being, I want to look like this, to I want to be empowered, I want to be strong, and I want to be a role model, not just for me, not just for my kids, but other people who don't think it's possible. For me, strength is really loving who you are, looking in the mirror and being happy with what you see. Strength to me is really just, it's an accomplishment. It's a sense of pride Yes, I love being strong. I love lifting heavy stuff. I love that part of the strength training and doing what I do for that. But it's when I lay my head down at night, I feel accomplished and I feel happy. And I know that my life isn't just one long running scene in a bad movie. It's important. Strength is important. It's who I've become. Am I the strongest person in the world? Probably not. Do I have some ways to go? Absolutely. But it's who I am and it's what I wake up to achieve every day. Being stronger, a better mom, a better, manager for the company I work for, whatever that is, it's just how do you be stronger? So I discovered Fringe through a mutual friend. They brought in some wall balls and they had a 14 pound and a 20 pound. And I fell in love with them. I like the quality, I like the product. I like that when it hit me in the face sometimes, when I didn't catch it, it didn't hurt as bad. And I did. Once I saw the wall balls and I used them, I kind of Googled them a little bit, found out they were in Austin. I talked to Gabe about them. He gave me a lot of great information. He introduced me to a lot of people at Fringe, and that's how that went. There's one thing I can tell anyone, man, woman, child, is never give up on yourself. Never wake up every day and look in the mirror and be so unhappy and think that you can't change it. I think we get so complacent with where we are in life that we forget that there's another version of us out there. All we have to do is work hard for it, and we have to find that balance. We have to change who we are a little bit, and that's always a hard pill to swallow when you know that some of your habits are the problem. And so if I could tell anybody anything, whether you want to be strong, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to gain weight, gain muscle, lose muscle, is work for it. Work hard because it's so worth it. It's so worth it in the end.